Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to be looking at the foundation drops from Victoria Beckham by Augustinus. It's tagged as foundation as good for you as skincare. Let's find out what it's like on my very mature dry skin. Watch on. This is what the bottle looks like. It's got a navy top with VB on there, can you see that? And it's black, and then when you if I tip it this way, it says Victoria Beckham by Augustinus, which kind of makes it sound like he's given birth to Victoria Beckham. So when they say there's stem cells in here, I don't think that's what they mean. Anyway, now there's little balls in here. We've got to give it a good shake because there's serum inside, and so we've got to mix all the ingredients. I quite like this. It makes me feel like I've participated. So I'm just going to give it a shake. Give me a minute. I have been shaking this since I brought it from Selfridges, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. It'll be beautifully whipped. I am in 9 medium. I did try 8 and I tried 9, and I think this is quite a good shade match for me. Now let's look at the viscosity. I would imagine this is going to be running away. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's not really running away, although I didn't put that. Oh no, it is. Here we go. Yeah. Now the lady in Selfridges said to me that 1 drop does your whole face. I didn't really believe her. However, it wasn't one of these drops. It was sort of a bit more. It was like one of those, you know, that does your whole face. But even so, pretty good. Now, I've got 2 brushes. They're both by Chanel, as it happens, and they're both ancient, and they both have not been used by me. So I discovered these when we moved. Anyway, I've got these 2. So I will use one of them as a flat brush, and let's see what happens. Bring you in a little bit closer as I... Now let me tell you about this foundation. I have got my little notes here, so I will read as I apply. This is the new gold standard in Skin First foundation. This is honestly what sold it to me, because it's quite pricey, not surprisingly, but I did think, gosh, if I get a nice bit of skincare in there for the winter time, that's going to be amazing. Experience breathable serum light coverage and a buildable natural feel finish. It's already going on beautifully, I have to say. It's powered by skin cell rejuvenating breakthrough of Augustinus Bader's TFC8 technology. Flexible in feel, this minimalist formula melts effortlessly into the skin, instantly perfecting, while proprietary skincare actives improve your complexion over time. Okay. 12-hour luminous finish, so that's what we're going to test today. A buildable serum light formula that disappears into skin while disguising imperfections and evening skin tone. The way it's going on, you are in no doubt, or I am in no doubt, that it's got proper skincare in there. Lovely. Okay, designed to be undetectable, with a natural feel finish that moves with your skin, so presumably no cakiness. Now I haven't put any concealer on. All I've got is my daily skincare, but got SPF, and underneath the SPF I've got this, which is the Sizzly Black Rose. I'm coming to the end of this, so I'm just finishing it up. I should have really finished it by now. We're what are we, 3rd of September, 4th of September, but I'm just finishing it up. It won't be, this is not what I'm going to be using ordinarily under this foundation. I need a bit more of this. Now I could have dotted it on my face. I just don't like doing it. I'm always slightly nervous. I kind of think, oh, it might dry on my skin. Anyway, here's the rest of it. Clinically proven skin benefits include formulated with Augustinus Bader's TFC8, which stands for Trigger Factor Complex 8, presumably. Maybe that was the 8th time he got it right, a bit like Chanel 5, getting it right the 5th time. A proprietary technology that delivers key nutrients to skin cells for renewal. It's buildable light to medium coverage. Now the essay did say to me, if you put 2 layers on, you will get a good medium coverage, but I kind of feel I'm getting enough with, it's not 1 drop, it's 2 drops. I feel I'm getting enough, to be honest. I want to put enough on there to get a good 12 hours so you really see what it's like. It's less usual, I would say, for me to need my foundation to work, not to work, but to look good for 12 hours. That's less usual for me. I think for me, I'm all right for sort of 8 hours, because by that time I'm coming home and I really don't care. All I'm interested in is my pajamas. Okay, let's see what else it says. A modern innovation for foundation minimalists. So this is the key thing. This is for people who appreciate a lighter finish. And I think I'm probably that market, because I like things to be thin. But obviously I still need stuff covered in a meaningful way. It says here, our breathable matrix of suspended pigments diffuses imperfections whilst allowing natural skin to shine through. So I've almost applied it. We'll have a look close up and see what you think before I put anything else on. Pure excellence in every way, that's the Victoria standard. Oof. Okay, I think that's it. I've got a bit more on left here, so I'm just going to put it on my forehead. Now, the only thing that I would say I should have told you that I've got on is I've still got it in the box, the Danessa Myricks in Universal. And all I've done is I've put that on my nose here. That's all I've done here and sort of just there. Because even though it's quite a chilly day, I am running around today, so I probably will get a shiny nose. And what I didn't want to do is put powder on top of this, because the whole point about this is the luminosity. And so I just thought I'd rather do it from underneath, as it were. I was not using the Universal, I wasn't using that product at all last year. So throughout the autumn and winter, and particularly at the beginning of the year when I was kind of testing the Guerlain and the Givenchy and so on, I did put a bit of powder on my chin and nose, but I'm trying not to do that this time now that we've got the blurring Universal with the Upsilite technology that makes it nice and matte. But the rest of it is just normal skincare underneath. Now, maybe given that this has got, this good quality serum and should be the best of the best, I do wonder whether the fact that this is a very light cream is probably going to help me. If I'd worn my ordinarily kind of gloopy creams that I like to wear in the winter, maybe this will be too shiny. So just bear that in mind if you're very dry. I've used a lighter moisturizer and just my SPF on top, which is at the moment I'm just finishing off the Lancome 50 in the white bottle. I will put a picture up here for you to have a look. Okay, I think that's good enough. Now, I haven't got concealer on, please bear that in mind. I will put that on afterwards, but let's have a look close up so you can see what it looks like. I do like the shade on me. This is what it looks like. It's certainly glowy, which I like. Have a look. And it's got that thing that I like, that I miss in a tinted moisturizer. It has got the coverage, but it's definitely glowy. And it's got that, it does feel, when I applied it, it's got that serum feel. If I just put it between my fingers, I noticed this in the store actually. If you just put it on and can you see it's got that, can you see that slip? Which you really only get with a good quality serum and skincare. I think it's got more slip than my favourite foundation so far this year, which is the Givenchy. And it's very close between the Guerlain and the Givenchy Glow, but I think the Givenchy for me has pipped it to the post this year, because there's clearly more serum in there for a very, very, very dry skin, which I am in wintertime. So this looks to me even more slippy, actually, just the feel of it. I don't know what it would be like on a normal to oily skin. I don't know. I'll have a look. I don't know, and I'll report, throughout the day, but I don't know whether they say it's for all skin types. I would imagine they do say it's for all skin types, but I don't know, you might not like it if you're a normal to dry or an oilier complexion. This may just be too much. But for me, at the moment, I'm dry. I'm not normal to dry, I'm dry. And in the winter, I'm very dry. So this is perfect in terms of the first kind of experience of it, having put it on, seeing how it lies on the skin and how it applied. I also want to say that I've had this before. What was the one that I was using? It was the Dior. Now, I didn't like the Dior Glow foundation because I couldn't get the right colour, and I'm generally bad-tempered about Dior foundations. However, the thing that I noticed with that Dior foundation, when I used it subsequently, because I was trying to work out whether it was literally worth it financially for me to buy a deeper colour and then mix the two, and then I decided I just didn't like the product enough as it was. But the thing that I noticed is when I was using the brush, and it wasn't this brush, the brush that I would have been using would have been the BK Beauty 101. too much of the product just got lost within the brush, as it were. Whereas this, I feel, and I don't think that's the brush, because I've been using that brush for an awfully long time, and I've got a couple of versions of it, and it's always been fine. I can see with this brush, nothing it hasn't sort of got lost in the fibers, as it were. In other words, it stayed on where I put it and just let me get it onto the skin. Let me just see how much product we've got. 30 mil. Okay, we haven't been diddled in the sense that we haven't got a silly much smaller amount than you normally get. 30 mil is about standard, isn't it? I always think if you get 35 you're lucky. 30 is standard, so that's fine. Of course it's got a higher price point. Look at the skincare it's got in it. So, and presumably they're sharing their pocket money, aren't they? But I must stop doing that. Sorry, I'll put this down. It's annoying. But I do like this finish. I will be very interested to see how long it lasts, because 12 hours is kind of one hell of a claim, really, for something that's as, not so much sheer, but as slippy. And by slippy, I don't mean slippery. I just mean it's got that serum slip to it. And it feels very, very different to, I'm using that as an example because I liked it as a glow foundation, the Givenchy or indeed the Guerlain. It does feel very different. And the shade I really like. It's not too pink, it's not too peach. It's just, it's just right. Actually, shall I put a little bit of blusher on just so we can see? Because I don't want to have to powder, and I would like to see whether we can get a little bit of blusher on there without it going patchy and without using powder. If it goes patchy, then you know what, I'll just reapply that side in front of you so you can see. But I've got a feeling it's not going to go patchy because it doesn't feel sticky. I think it's worth doing. So let me just go and get my blusher. Okay, so the blusher I'm using is the Suku in 07. Sorry, I had to squint there. This is the one from the spring collection, although the winter collection will be here soon. So that's what it looks like. It's just a very gentle blush with a little bit of highlighter. As you can see, it kind of, there's a gradient there. Just very nice. Okay, so what's this? My Refa 19, and let's give it a little go. It's going on fine. I mean, if I wanted to, I could have used any of those lovely cream glowy blushes. I'm just slightly over them. So this is going on absolutely fine, which, I would have been a bit disappointed is if, having got this beautiful glow from this, I would then need to powder my cheeks and then put the blush on, because I still want that to kind of come through. I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of feel, whatever it is, 103, 104 pounds for this kind of money, I would like to keep this lovely glow. Yeah, okay. What I'll do is I'll go off and put the rest of my makeup on, and let's take a look, and then I will see you intermittently throughout the day as we do the wear test. Okay, so I've done my makeup. I'm going to go about my day. I will check in probably in about 2.5 hours time, something like that, and let's just see how it goes. At the moment, I have to say, I put a bit more blush on. It didn't, the brush didn't kind of stick or drag, so I haven't needed to put any powder on my cheeks, which I'm sort of delighted about. I think it is drying down very, very slightly. When I say drying down, it's probably just a little bit less glowy, but you can see it here on my forehead. But let's see how it goes, and I will check in soon. Okay, we are 4.5 hours in. I would say after about 30 or 40 minutes, the foundation itself dries down a little bit. It stays glowy, but it's not quite as glowy as it goes on, and then it settles to this. This has been like this for 4 hours or something. I think it's still glowy. I have to say, I do really like it. It does feel like a very natural finish, but it's definitely covered my bits of pigmentation here and the little bit of redness that I've had a little bit here. I don't know whether I've got a spot or something coming up here because that wasn't there this morning, but that's fine. But I do like it. I don't, so far, the blusher hasn't gone patchy, and nothing's kind of separated or gone weird around my nose. So far, So good. I'll check in again in another probably 4 hours or something like that. Okay, in the last bit of sunshine we're probably going to get in the UK for a while, I think it's looking pretty skin-like and pretty good. We're at just over 10 hours wear now. I've had the kind of day where I really have been running around. I've been on the underground train and I've been on a couple of buses, and I have got a bit warm, not sweaty, but just a bit warm. And while it sort of stayed glowy, it didn't ever look kind of sweaty and shiny or anything like that. I'm not sure how helpful it is to be in such bright sunshine, so I will kind of move and show you it in sort of daylight but not sunshine. But I think hopefully you'll be able to see it's still super skin-like, and it's not makeup-y, it's not really shiny. I've got the glow, which is what I want. If I wanted to put a bit of powder, maybe I would powder my nose a bit, but it's quite hard to tell in this kind of sunshine. But in terms of like things like I've got spots of a little bit of pigmentation here, and I'm quite blotchy these days, and it's just covered that. When I applied it this morning, it was definitely a medium coverage. It wasn't a light to medium. I definitely sort of covered, got the coverage that I wanted. I think that's the limit of the foundation. It's definitely, light to medium, but it's not more than your medium coverage. For me, that's fine. I have to say, my skin feels super comfortable. It has got a bit chillier, and I kind of felt the rest of my body sort of get a bit itchy and a bit just feeling that slight chill. Whereas my face feels super comfortable. And as you saw, I only put the lightest cream. I actually put the cream on that I've been using all summer, and it's probably not entirely appropriate now that we're into September, but it has felt absolutely fine. I've got that, I definitely feel that skincare texture, and that, in a way, the weight. I don't mean it's heavy, I mean the sort of the ingredients of having something in there that looks after my skin and keeps it hydrated. So far, so good. Back again 2 minutes later, just to show you what it looks like. I'm in my bathroom. I'm not in sunshine, obviously, but it is daylight. So just so you can see, I'll bring you in closer, just so you can see what it looks like up close. You can see it's glowy, and you can see it's probably, here on my nose, it's probably, worn more than you'd kind of want to. But as I said, we're over 10 hours now, and I didn't put any powder. But I did use the Danessa Blurring Balm in Universal underneath, remember. Has most of my blusher gone? Probably most of the blush is gone. Obviously this is a different lipstick because, I had a different coat on. Okay. We are now at the just over 11-hour mark. So let's have a look. Let me bring you close up. Obviously I have reapplied my lip gloss, but apart from that, have a look. I think it has fared pretty well. I mean, clearly it's faded, but I have still got a little bit of glow. It has it's not gone patchy, it's not separated or anything like that, I don't think. It's just here I can see it's worn a little bit. The blush has gone, but I did use, and this is my mistake, the most subtle blush known to man. I mean, this is Sukur. This is really subtle, and it's never particularly long lasting. It's just a very nice kind of easy shade. But I'm sure that if I'd used something like the YSL, I'd have been absolutely fine. So I don't think that's indicative of to be fair, I don't think that's indicative of this foundation. And actually, even though the blush is worn, you can still see it here. I can still see a bit of the evenness, because you can't see you can't see the little spots as much of the hyperpigmentation. And equally around my nose, yes, my nose is shinier, but I didn't powder. I did put the blurring underneath. Yeah, I think this needs a powder. I'm happy with my forehead because I do quite like to have a bit of glow on my forehead, particularly in, autumn, winter. But that's what it looks like. So in other words, I think for me, I will get a good 10 hours out of this, particularly, if I powdered my nose. But I do rather think that the Danessa is probably enough for me. There are a couple of things. One is to see quite how it compares to anything else that sort of any other foundation that kind of claims to be glowy. But also there are some bits of research that Victoria Beckham has put on her website, and I just thought it was just worth having a look at that and seeing if we agree. Her quote is, "This is the first foundation that feels like nothing, yet truly does everything." Okay, well, the reason why I know it doesn't is I've still got a couple of dirty saucepans in my kitchen, so I don't think it does everything. However, I do believe that it is genuinely hydrating and moisturizing because my skin feels super duper comfortable. It really does. Now, here are the 5, count 'em, claims. 100% of people agreed the foundation drops melt into the skin for a seamless look immediately after use. I would agree with that. 100% agree it leaves skin with a healthy glow immediately. Yes, I think we sort of saw that immediately, didn't we? Even though it dries down in about half an hour, you've kind of got it's dried a little bit, and then you're left with that level of glow, which is still a good glow. 100% agree it leaves skin with a healthy glow immediately. Oh, sorry, I just said that. 100% agree it looks healthier and feels hydrated and nourished after all day wear. Absolutely, I think I just said that. 96% agree it didn't look cakey after 12 hours of use. Well, we're looking at it just after 11. It's definitely not cakey. I haven't got any dryness or anything at all. And as I said, I did use the lightest moisturiser underneath. And the final one is 93%, also getting a bit picky now, noticed an improvement in the overall appearance of skin after 6 weeks of use. I'm going to have to use it. I will use it. And what interests me actually is even now, when we're really right at the beginning of autumn in the UK, I will happily use this now. It doesn't feel too much of in my head, I kind of think of as a big deal foundation. In other words, something that's got more coverage than perhaps I'm comfortable with just having left summer, as it were. So I'm happy to use this for the foreseeable, frankly. I did want to review the Natasha Denona foundation, but I'm not going to do that until I can find the colour in store, because I have not had a good experience, not only with her delivery system, but also with the foundation. So this is going to be the one that I'm going to be using, and I will report back. Now, here's the thing. The foundations earlier this year that purported to be glowy, and that I think were truly glowy, was the Givenchy Prisme Libre, the Terracotta Latin Glow, and the Forever Hydra Nude. Now, I know there were others, but these two are absolutely my favourite. This one, I didn't like the formula as much, and I couldn't get the shade. However, I know lots of people absolutely love this. So to that end, I just want to show you what they look like on the back of the hand compared with Victoria Beckham. And one other that I think is worth comparing it to. Now, I've already given this a shake. For dramatic purposes, I gave it another shake just to remind you it needs shaking. This is this one here. And remember this? Skin Fetish. I really like this foundation. I think it's my second or my third bottle. I do like it. Okay, look at the difference. The final one is the Skin Fetish. That's Victoria Beckham. But the other 3 are not, even though the Givenchy and the Guerlain, which are actually the first 2, have got serum in, they're not nearly as thin. I think that gives you an idea of quite how finely you can kind of apply the foundation. I do think that makes a difference. You can really feel the slip on the Victoria Beckham, and I know with the Skin Fetish it's much thinner because it's much more sort of skin tinty, but as long as you get your skincare right underneath for a dry skin, this is absolutely fine, and I love the finish. But isn't it interesting that the first 3, they're not really moving that much, so you're not getting that same opportunity for a very easy skin-like finish, if that's important to you. Now, skin-like for me is not always important, so I don't want to make too much of a, excuse me while I get a baby wipe. I don't want to make too much of a point of it, but if this is what you're after, you can see how different the Victoria Beckham is. And also bear in mind that the Pat McGrath, that's been out, I don't know how long it's been out. I looked it up, and the Skin Fetish was released in 2020. I think I bought my first bottle in 21. So it will also have been in development before that. So this is an older formula. The thing about the Victoria Beckham is we have got a kind of known quantity of serum product in there. So I think that counts for something. And I think for me, what it means is I will genuinely incorporate this as part of my skincare. I can feel how hydrating it is, even more so than I remember. And it's been a couple of months, probably longer, since I've worn both the Guerlain and the Givenchy, because I've kind of switched to lighter products. So I do believe that it would mean that I would be able to wear a lighter bit of skincare underneath, and so in a way that kind of offsets and mitigates the price as well. Now I should say this is made in Italy. It comes with 19 shades and it's got a 12-month shelf life. Now I don't normally take shelf lives, you know, particularly seriously. For this I will, because of the serum. I wouldn't keep a serum longer. I wouldn't keep skincare longer than the shelf life that is recommended. I don't want to be putting creams on my face that are off, so, you know. But then having said that, it's 30 ml. I'll probably just use that. I'll probably just use this up, you know, quite easily. Also, something I forgot to mention, as you know, I applied the product with this flat complexion brush. What gave me the idea was that in store, that's what the makeup artists were using. When I was trying it in store, I used my fingers, and it was absolutely fine to use my fingers because I got a really lovely finish. However, I do prefer to use a brush, and I knew that I had 2 of these that I'd not really used. So this is what I used. This has given me a really nice finish. It's absolutely worth using this style of brush, I feel. I just had a lot more control, and I feel I got the most out of the product by just being able to kind of stroke it on, as opposed to, as I kind of said earlier on in the video, the product getting lost in a fatter brush because it's so thin, because it's such a sort of a slippy product. This was definitely the way to apply it. I'm very sort of comfortable. I can get into all the nooks and crannies, but keep that thinness without wasting the product. So you just should know that this is kind of, anything like this is actually, I think, the way to apply it. I also just want to say that from a personal point of view, the shade for me is dead right. And I do sometimes struggle. So this one is described, this is number 9, it's described as a medium for a medium skin tone with golden undertones. I don't have golden undertones. I have neutral or olive undertones. However, it doesn't really matter to me because I tried it in store. I don't know how it would work if I was to buy it online. I have to say that at the time when I was looking online, the shade matcher tool wasn't working. So hopefully they've kind of addressed that, but that's basically one of the many reasons why I just wasn't, not many, but I just didn't want to risk it online. So I was fortunate enough to be able to go in store. That's just on a personal note. The other thing I will say is the container, as beautiful and as glitzy as it is a real fingerprint magnet, and that's a bit annoying. It doesn't take much for it to start looking, you know, a bit grubby, and I just wish it was, you know, I just wish the packaging was kind of more, just was going to look as luxe as I know it can look when I kind of rub it on my jeans and then it kind of looks pristine again. This may be a personal thing to me, but I'd just rather not. You know, I don't want my foundations to be CSI friendly, basically. Anyway, what do you think? And what is the favourite foundation that you're looking forward to going into the fall autumn with? Because this is now my new favourite. I have to say, I'm 58, I've got dry skin, I've got, you know, ageing skin, and I think it has made my complexion look better. I mean, it has. It's just improved it, and it is genuinely skin-like. I've always kind of laughed at that phrase. I don't want it to look that skin-like, but it does genuinely look like my skin, but just a lot better. So I'm actually delighted with this, which is, you know, a great way to kick off a new season. But I want to hear from you. Let me know. Thank you so much for joining me as ever, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.